is. It is. Okay. And so it looks like we're going live, like we're already live on YouTube.
Okay. Okay.
And now we are live on Dr. Cressland, on the Dr. Cressland page. So I am excited. So like I told you, I'm new to this platform, so I don't have everything figured out just yet. But we're gonna bring some visibility to this story. I'm so excited to have you here, and for us to be talking about the Building Your Powerhouse magazine. I am so excited about that. And so
It's a
one of the
great
things I'm going to do is
magazine.
I'm going to go. Yes, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm
I
glad you
did.
enjoyed it.
I
You did
did.
have a chance to read it. Was there anything that really stood out to you about it?
I like the variety.
Mhm.
It was fresh because
Awesome.
every story was different from the next. So you have an anticipation as you're reading it. And it's the
Awesome.
different belief systems. I love it. I love the variety of it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm so glad you mentioned the belief systems because we really try to cater to every of every woman. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned it. Hey,
Mhm.
y'all, I see we have some viewers. I'm so excited. Let me tell you about my guest. She is a super phenomenal woman and the author of Life Altered Not Over. And so this is Debra Winans. She's the ex-wife to BB Winans, but this story is not about him. It is about her. And so I'm just giving you a little background information so that you can understand the power of this book. Life Altered Not Over. So if you know anybody that's gone through a divorce or anything like that, then make sure that they can go to my regular Facebook page, but I also post it back to this page, the Dr. Cressland page. I'll also post it into the YouTube description of this conversation, how you can get it so that you can glean from this wisdom that this amazing woman shares with us through this book. But that is not all she's doing. She's writing another book right now. So Deborah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what all you have going on? Tell us about this book, the next book. Share with us what we can look to see and hear about concerning Deborah Winans in the future.
Well, thank you first, Dr. Crescent, for having me on this platform. You are amazing. I love how we connected immediately. And so I look forward
Yes.
to more things happening. I mean, that's what we should be doing, right? Helping each other. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. But my book, Life Altered is Not Over, is about my process through divorce because going through a divorce is a process. Um, People can get married and get out of a marriage and jump into another one and get out of that one and jump into another one. And I'm like, where do they have time to heal? Because you just have to. And so,
Mm,
but in my process, there are some how-to tools that I learned by going through it so I can get on the other side of it so that I can live. So that's what the book is about. My next
mm,
book that I'm
mm.
working on now is a little deeper. It talks about being an empty nester. My children are grown now, an empty nester, reinventing yourself. Um, just being single today is very
Mhm.
different. Dating today, I'm like, what? it's different. So all of those things that are very important that can going through menopause, whether you
Mhm.
are some people you're 40 or you're 80, just the difference of coming through stuff and these different phases in your life that sometimes people just don't speak to or you're not comfortable enough talking to somebody about where you are because where you are 25 years ago is very different than where you are today, and that's
Absolutely.
okay. And
Absolutely.
so what do you do? What's your next steps?
Mhm. Mhm. You said something very profound. You said, people move from one marriage to another, and you said, when do you heal? And I think that's true for all of our relationships. So when we encounter anything in our lives, not just relationships, but just say an illness or a financial setback. You know, a lot of us
Mhm.
like to rush into the next thing or to make things happen again, and we fail to pause for a second and really learn the lessons from that trial, from that life event, from that illness, from that setback, whatever it is, to just really pause and say, you know, what am I supposed to get from this? What am I supposed to learn?
Mhm.
And what is it that I need to heal? Because we, especially as African Americans, we have experienced so much trauma in our lives.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
a lot of our traumatic events and situations are happening because of that underlying trauma that's driving us that we have no clue
Absolutely.
about.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So what would you say about really how much time does a person need between relationships, would you say?
You know, I know it's different for everybody, but it took me a couple of years to heal from going through my divorce. It took me a while to even want to be in another relationship, because what I discovered is that depending on the situation, there's this person that's wanting to get to know me. Well, immediately I go into protection mode. Like, no, I've had
Right.
my heart broken before. No, 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 no. So there's a lot of things you have to unravel in your head, and not make that person pay for your previous person's mistakes. It is very unfair.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're walking in a
Right.
relationship or a business deal, or you're dealing with something and you've been hurt from something similar to that before, and that thing comes up and says, oh no, all these red flags, all these warning signs, sometimes that person really is legit, but it's you who are
Right.
still working through those things. So sometimes the red flags are important. No, let me be clear. The red flags are important, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to look at it and see
Right.
what is the motive? What am I really looking at? Is it this person? Is it this situation, or is it me? So when you
Right.
take the
Right.
time to heal, you learn your methods of how you do things, and some things have had to change, and some things you've had to make the adjustments in. But when you stop
Mm-hmm.
and start gathering information and walking through the process, it affects every area of your life, every area.
Indeed.
And so I think you have to be wise and prayerful as well, to know when it's time to move and when it's time not. But this quick jumping back and forth, it's not
Mm-hmm.
cool. Now, may I reiterate something that I want to say, and I want to be very open about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people say it, and until I experienced it. By
Mm-hmm.
time my divorce was over, legally, I had
Mm-hmm.
already grieved the relationship. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go into court boohoo crying and screaming. I didn't do any of that. Emotionally, I had
Mm-hmm.
already grieved the death of the relationship. That
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
mean
Right.
that didn't mean I was ready to start another relationship in 6 months. Okay.
Right.
So you can
Right.
grieve the death of something, the death of a person, the death of a business, the death of a friendship. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to jump into something else. It means that you've accepted, you've settled it, and you're okay. Because when you go
Right.
through the grieving stages, you're going through denial and all of that. Well, I went through all of
Mhm.
that. I went through all of that.
Right.
So I was ready for it to be done legally, but I
Mhm. Mhm.
still had to work on those areas of my heart. Because we as women,
Mhm.
especially African American women, we know how to multitask. We can do 400 and 500
Right.
things in one doggone time. Okay. We're good at it,
Right. Absolutely.
but we're not
Right.
good at
So that brings
stopping.
yes, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I know
No.
our time is limited. I have limited time with you this morning. But someone asked, hey, Yolanda, hey, Adrian, hey, everybody that's on here. Looks like we have Raksha, Renee, Mina, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Yolanda asked, how did you get over being married to someone famous and then date again with trust issues?
We don't have enough time for
Yeah, because
that
I'm
one.
sure. Yeah.
It was, to be very honest, Yolanda, it was very scary. Very, very scary. My whole life changed. My whole life changed. So coming from a celebrity, the notoriety, the prestige, the perks, all of that to nothing was a culture shock for me. So when I started, when I wanted to date again, there were certain things that they had to have in place for sure. But I didn't want that again. I didn't want another celebrity. I wanted somebody that was stable, yes, but I didn't want that because there's a whole lot that comes with that. That's why it took me so long to do it again. Because I had to count the cost. I had children. I wanted to know what your motive was. I didn't want to be another person's eye candy. I didn't want to be another person's trophy. I needed somebody to see Debra, see me, not Debra Winans, see me, and get to know who I am without all that other stuff that came with it. I hope that was okay.
That was good. Actually, that was really good. And, in fact, a lot of us want to be seen for who we are.
Yes,
and, and in the society, it's so hard to even distinguish, to boil down like some of our self-esteem issues to that denominator of wanting to be seen, because that's why we dress up, and that's why we compare ourselves, and that's why we do all these things socially. But really, at the crux of it is just you want to be seen for who you are, beyond all that, because that's hard. That's hard to maintain that outer whatever that outer is for you. That's very hard to maintain. And at the end of the day, if you only see me because of the degrees, or if you only see me because of whatever, then you're not really me for me, that loving person that wants to just sit on the couch and have a glass of wine and my pajamas, just to see. If you don't see the God in me, really, number one,
that part right there,
I don't want you to looking at me, because that's who I want to glorify. Yeah. Right. So
and if in my first turn off is if you start asking me about my ex, or you start asking me questions about the family, and you asking me about what celebrity I'm in, that is the end of our date and conversation. Phone number deleted.
Yes.
But if you're asking me who I am, what do you love? What are you passionate about? Tell me about your walk with God. How did this thing start with you? How did you get here? Then you're interested. Then we can have a dialogue, because I need to know, because I'm going to ask you the same thing. So I think it's important. We want to be seen. We want to be appreciated. That's why we have to know who we are first. We have to.
You're not your celebrity status. You're not who you're married to. You're not, you're not this. And I love that. So once people start talking about that, that's a turn off. Let's turn from that conversation. I love that, because we are not these things. Are not these things. And when you take all of that away, that really is what put us all on a level playing field. People don't want to play on a level playing field. We're supposed to have a foot up, right?
Right.
And so, but when we strip away all the titles and when you get butt naked and you land in the hospital sick, you realize what equality really is, and you are really your sisters and brothers, and your sisters and brothers are really you. And so at the end of the day, when we strip naked from all of that, we want to be seen and want to be cared for just being a human being. I love that. I love that you share that.
So
Yes, yes.
what
Well,
kept me moving and understanding is when God told me, you did not marry into a purpose. You were created with purpose. And that
wow.
is when my
Wow.
journey began.
Yes. I love that. You didn't marry into a purpose. You were
Mm-mm.
created
I
by
was
him
created by God.
for a purpose.
Absolutely.
Yes. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. So I know that we're covering. Listen, you don't want to miss the July edition of the Building Your Powerhouse magazine that's coming out in July, July 1st. Make sure that you go ahead and you could be the first ones to get the copy. I don't share everything on social media, and social media is the last one to get it. You only get your copy first when you are subscribed to the magazine, which is www.buildingyourpowerhouse.com. That's how you subscribe. www.buildingyourpowerhouse.com. It's a free subscription. Hear me clearly. It's a free subscription. You only pay $2.99 if you want to download it, but you can read it free on the internet. Okay. So that's what you need to know. And then we're going to be covering Deborah. We got a good interview with her going on, and talk about her book, Life Altered, Not Over. But this book has resurrected itself. It was written back in the early, like 2007, I think. And so people are now wanting to know more about this book. But now her life has advanced. She's learned so many lessons from divorce and hope and faith and all those things, that she's also writing another book. So Deborah, tell us more as we start to wrap up, the direction that you're moving in from divorce to helping people with what?
Well, because I raised my children, we did this in quiet because I am a very private person. So my job was to protect and raise my children and protect them from crazy people, because people are cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, right? And so through my journey, I started learning how my kids view divorce. And then a lot of things that I learned through the years, a lot of things I thought they had no clue about, they were crystal clear about. And they became more verbal. That's a whole nother dynamic of this. Then they start telling you what they see, what they saw, what they felt, where they, how it affected them. And you have to be prepared to hear those things. And so also when just in I went back to school. I went back and got my college degree. So I was working 2 jobs, working full time, and going back to school and raising children, all of that. And then at the same time, I'm like, I really do. I'm like, I think I'm ready to love again. I think I'm really ready to love again. That scared me to death, just the very thought. But God has been preparing my heart, because I was more comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with asking certain questions. I don't mind dating. I don't mind finding who you are. I was okay. So then to love again. And then the other aspect is, now my children are grown. I have an empty nest. So it's just me. And so it's amazing how things come back to you. Things that happened to you 10, 15, 20 years ago. Here it is.
Trauma.
Right in your face. And you're like, I thought I dealt with that. And you're like, no, you may have dealt with one aspect of it, but here's the other. So I started learning how to reinvent myself and continue my healing process. And that's what the book about. It's about taking back your authority spiritually, financially, education, and emotionally. Take it back and then move forward.
Yes. Do you have a title for the book yet?
I can't release it yet. I'm still in the writing process. Yeah, I'm still in the writing process. But yeah, I'm not ready to release it yet.
I love it. I love it. Okay, listen, you all, thank you so much for. Make sure to share this video, comment. I see you, Adrian, Sharon. Thank you so much. Share it. Connect with people. Do your kids tell you, "Mama, go date"? Mine did. Your kids are your kids good for you dating, Deborah?
No, my son is like, and I'm seeing someone now, and my son is like, "Mom, who is that?" I don't know. I mean, he is
Right.
super, super protective. He's a
Protective.
trip.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love our kids. So yeah. So thank you for joining the conversation. Make sure to like, love, share, comment, and definitely tag somebody that's struggling with divorce, the challenges of divorce, or moving on after divorce. To get this book, I'm gonna leave a link to Debra's Cash App, and then she'll mail you the book. When you Cash App her, put your home address, make sure you type it correctly into the Cash App memo. And how much is the book, Deborah?
$12.
$12,
And that's including shipping. Mm-hmm.
including the shipping, and she will get it to you. And so that concludes our conversation today. Remember, she's going to be our cover. You'll learn so much more in the Building Your Powerhouse magazine, the July issue. Thank you so much, Deborah, for taking time out of your precious schedule to have a conversation
Thank
with
you.
me,
Thank you. My
our
pleasure.
community.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Continue to be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much
Bye,
for joining.
everybody.
Talk soon.